Alright guys, how's it going? Today I figured we'd go over basically how I set up my prices. I kind of mentioned that in my last video, so I figured we'd actually do it. Before we get into that though, I noticed based off my analytics that about 60% of the people viewing my stuff aren't subscribed. To the 14 of you that are subscribed right now, I appreciate it, that's awesome. With me having 14 subscribers, 60% of you who are just like chilling around, kind of peeking, seeing what's going on. If you subscribe, that would be really helpful for me building my business and building my brand online, and I'd really appreciate that. Also, leave a comment down in the comment section where you're watching from, or about anything really. Just even if you're not willing to subscribe or wanting to subscribe right now, just leaving a comment helps push me to more people, and that would be really appreciated, and I would love that from you guys. With all that YouTuber nonsense out of the way, let's get into pricing. So, got my iPad with my notes app with just some quick stuff that I kind of jotted down. So, to boil it down kind of, my prices are what my prices are because I need to make money, right? I can't necessarily just be doing something that takes a lot of my time to do and not have some level of profitary gain coming from it when I'm providing a service. That's a very like shorthanded, simple, like, well, yeah, you need to make money. I get it. So realistically, for any small business to be successful, they basically need to be making $50 an hour per employee. Basically that sets you up to where you're making enough money to be able to pay everyone and hopefully be able to profit a little bit on the back end. With me being the only person who works for my company, that basically means all of my stuff is based off of the fact that when I am working, I need to be making $50 an hour. One of the things that kind of makes that a little bit fussy is cost of materials. So if I didn't have to use consumable products to do my job, I would just be able to base it, okay, I spent 4 hours working on this job, $50 an hour, it's $200, right? The issue with that is a lot of my stuff is consumables. For instance, one of the cheapest things that I use is actually my soap. It's $17.90 a gallon, which is fairly cheap. Granted, that is my price because I get a wholesale price. Shane, if you see this, you're awesome. I appreciate you. But on top of it only being $17.99 for a gallon of soap, in order to use it with 2 ounces in my foam cannon and 2 ounces in a 4-gallon bucket of water, I'm looking at like 50 cents a use for that. So that's really, really cheap. One of the more common things that I use that's pretty freaking expensive is my iron remover. It's $30 a gallon. For a car, when using it, you're pretty much going through a pint of it. And it is used 100% straight. You don't dilute it down with water. That is expensive. And then I have other stuff that goes way beyond that in pricing, where it's like a ceramic coating costs $120-ish a bottle for the stuff that I use, and at most it covers 3 cars. So that's pricey, right? And there's stuff that goes all the way in between that range and fills up different spots as far as how much my stuff costs. I also have the physical items that I have to purchase. Some of the rags that I use cost like $6 a rag. That's pretty pricey. If you're starting out, don't do that. Just go to Costco, get some microfiber rags. Hopefully try to find some other ones that are different colors so you don't cross-contaminate, but realistically, you don't necessarily need the bougie things to be able to do the job right. I just like bougie things, so I bought the expensive rags and brushes because that's who I am. But those play in a little bit. At this point, where I'm at, they really don't play into my pricing at all. When I first started out about 6 months ago with doing this as a business, not necessarily starting out doing detailing. I've been detailing for like 7 years. But when I first started out, that was part of my pricing was, well, I need to buy this tool and this tool and this tool, and this is something I don't have and I would need all that stuff. So that played a part into it back then, but now my prices have adjusted to kind of not necessarily reflect my physical items that aren't consumables, because, or at least are long-term consumables, because the cost of those are no longer paying a factor. Those are completely paid off like 10 times over. Anyway, that was a lot of rambling. So basically starting at the bottom with like my cheapest services that I do. A maintenance wash is about, well, that's not necessarily the cheapest. The cheapest one that I do, well, actually it's tied for cheapest with the other service, but maintenance wash, it's pretty straightforward. I charge $50 for it because it takes me an hour, and what I use to do that as far as chemicals is literally just car wash soap. It cost me 50 cents. So I kind of take that 50-cent hit to the $50 an hour thing, because charging $50.50 for a wash is kind of unnecessary and obnoxious, and it's weird. So I just have that rounded down to 50. I take the 50-cent hit, it's fine. The other one that costs that much is headlight restoration. The reason why is, while headlight restoration uses more expensive stuff, namely it uses a ceramic coating as a top coat sealant just to provide as much protection as possible. It also requires polishing and tools and whatnot, which is some more expensive stuff. It takes me like 20 minutes to do. So it kind of balances out to where time plus cost equals out to about the same as doing a maintenance wash. So that's pretty nice for me, at least. Or is a nice price point for me, I should say. But when we go from there into some of my more involved services, we get a little bit pricier. So when we actually go to a base full service detail, we jump up to a $250 price point before any discounts or sales or whatever that might go into reducing that cost. So it's that 1 hour for washing, so that's $50. It takes 30 minutes for me to go over when I'm doing a actual exterior detail and not an exterior wash. It takes me 30 minutes to go over the exterior glass. The reason being is I am removing all water spotting, and I am getting every bit of the glass. So you won't see that like dirt line at the top of the window when you roll them down. Doing all of that, getting the glass like felt liner at the bottom, all of that. That takes me about 30 minutes on a sedan. It also takes me about 30 minutes to take care of any plastic trim on the outside. as far as like restoring it and applying a dressing to it to help protect it. So that's 2 hours of time altogether for the outside. That's $100 right there. The upholstery on the inside takes me about an hour with vacuuming, applying and removing chemicals as needed, right? And vacuuming again. Just for the upholstery, it takes me about an hour. Interior plastics usually take me about 30 minutes. And I include like the headliner in that process because I work from the bottom up. So anyway, that adds another 30 minutes to that. And then interior screens and glass it takes me an additional 30 minutes, basically for the exact same reason that it takes me 30 minutes to do the glass on the outside. There's a few less steps that I have to do on the inside, but you have to be a lot more delicate with inside glass. Well, with the inside portion of the glass, because a lot of vehicles are tinted with aftermarket tint, and you have to be very careful with those, with how you're treating it, as well as with what chemicals you're using on it. You have to make sure you're using a tint-safe glass cleaner, which, when you boil it down, most of the time just means ammonia-free. If it's ammonia-free, it'll be okay on tint for the most part. There's a few out there that aren't, but you rarely see them being applied in like detailing. So if you're going to like an automotive section at like a Walmart, or you're going to a like car parts store to pick up cleaners and stuff for your car, 99% of the glass cleaners that are there are going to be tint safe. There are a few that aren't, but most of them will be. So screens and glass takes another 30 minutes, right? So that brings us up to that $200 mark. Where does the other $50 come from? Chemical cost for doing a full service detail is about $25-ish. It's like $24.68 with all of the stuff that I use, so it's right around $25. And then because I service the whole area that is Albany, Oregon, and parts of Corvallis and Lebanon without adding a travel, like a mileage charge, I calculate in about 30 minutes of potential round trip driving time, just to cover fuel expenses and whatnot. And that brings us up exactly to $250. There are obviously services that I have that cost more than that. My intermediate full service costs like $350-ish. I had like $100 for doing polishing prep and polishing on the car. And then my advanced full service costs $500. The reason being for that massive jump between those two is that it's basically the polishing process that's automatically included with my advanced is a two-step polishing process. So I basically have to go through the polishing process twice, so that adds twice the amount of time, twice the amount of chemical usage for polishing a vehicle. That being said, if I only have to use a single step correction on the vehicle, the additional money is taken out of that. I'm not going to charge people for something I'm not doing, so I cut a little bit of a deal on that if it's something I don't have to do. Also, one of the main reasons why it costs that much is because I do an interior fabric coating that we lay down on all interior fabrics other than leathers because it's not intended for leather. I don't know if it works on leather. I'd have to get a hold of P&S and see if that's actually something that the Inspiration fabric coating can do. But that takes a little bit of time to do because I have to let basically all the upholstery completely dry before applying it. And then before anyone gets into the car again, it has to completely dry after I apply it. So that eats up quite a bit of time, especially in Oregon. We aren't necessarily the warmest outside. I think I mean, every once in a while we get up to 100 degrees during the summer, but the average temperature year round is like 69, 68, somewhere in there for the entire year. So realistically, it takes a minute for me to do that, and it eats up time that I could be working with another customer if I wasn't working with that customer. And I'm not going to leave in the middle of a job and come back to do this one thing. So that's why those prices increase. Ceramic coatings also increase the cost of detail a lot. So my ceramic coating that I currently use, we are expanding my coatings list, so be on the lookout for the stuff that's getting added to that. That's going to be coming in the near future. I'm going to be installing a new one on one of my buddy's cars, most likely, just to test it out. What was I going to say? Oh, anywho, coatings. The coating that I use costs $120. I think it's between 120 and 130 for a 30 milliliter bottle. And at most, I can cover 3 cars with it. On top of that, I have to go through the entire polishing process. I have to make the paint, sorry, as perfect as possible. From there, I then have to make sure there is absolutely no water anywhere on the surface. That means behind mirrors, where the mirrors mount to the vehicle, around the badges. Rear window sills tend to be an issue on a lot of hatchbacks and things like that. So all of those spots where water can collect and run down the paint surface has to be perfectly dry. Have to evacuate all water, get rid of all of it, which takes a lot of time. Then I have to go through and I have to use a prep chemical to basically clear off anything, oils or anything like that off of the paint surface so that it's completely bone dry, just paint, right? From there, I then have to coat the vehicle, which takes about 30 minutes in the right conditions. Usually it takes around 45 minutes to an hour, and that time goes up by vehicle size. So I charge $100 for the base level coating that I offer. And then if we bump that up from the 2.5 year coating to the 5 year coating, I have to charge even more. So that's why those are priced at $100 and $150, and they're not included in any of my packages. They are add-ons for you to get if you so choose. If you do not choose, you don't have to get them. Obviously, they're not for everyone. I will say that if you have the option of running a coating, run a coating. You'll thank me later. Trust me. So that's kind of how my pricings are set up right now. That being said, that's also accounting for the fact that I don't have to pay any sort of lease or rent for shop space right now. That is also kind of accommodating for things that are both benefits and not, benefits and drawbacks, I guess is the easiest way to say that. of being mobile. So my prices will probably have to adjust when I get into a physical shop just to help make sure that I'm making enough money. One of the things that is difficult with pricing is making sure that you're able to express why it costs so much. There's the whole joke going around on the internet of like, it costs so much because it takes me so much time. And I mean, that is true. Honestly, it does cost this much money because of the time it takes for me to do this. But you can express that in ways that are a little bit more tactful. So you can explain that, like, in my case, if someone's like, wow, that's a lot of money for your entry-level detail, I can explain, yeah, it is, but I use some of the best chemicals on the market, and on top of that, I have 7 years of experience. I am one of the most experienced detailers in the area. And that's not a diss towards anyone else who's detailing in my area. There's a lot of guys who are really, really great at what they do. The amount of time that I have spent doing this does not necessarily mean that they are not as good, or potentially in some cases better than me. I just have a lot of time honing this craft. It's just kind of how it is. That being said, that's something that I really try to explain to people. Is like, I have this amount of time developing this skill set. If I've spent this much time developing this skill set, I'm really, really good at what I do. And even with being really, really good at what I do, it still takes time. And right now, because I am the only person who's working under my brand's name, I have to potentially charge more than some of the established shops to be able to feed myself, to be able to make a living off of this, right? It's kind of just how the game go. That being said, it's pretty much all I have to talk about that. If you have any questions about anything, leave them in the comments. If you have any suggestions for stuff that you would like to see from me, please leave a comment. That would be really, really awesome. And also leaving a comment just kind of helps get more people's eyes on my videos, which is great. What else was there? Let me think. Oh, I did that last time. October 23rd in Albany, Oregon, my business and a bunch of my buddies in the car community are going to be holding a car meet at the Lynn County Fairgrounds here in Albany, Oregon. It's called Cartoberfest. We're going to be having a food vendor. We're going to have Bill in Detailing is giving away a shirt, a ceramic coating upgrade to any of the services that allow for ceramic coating. So my intermediate and advanced full service and exterior services are able to be upgraded to a ceramic coating. And then we have a photographer who is talking about doing a giveaway. We might have a couple other businesses here and there doing some giveaways or doing some fun things that are going to be there. With that, pretty sure that's everything that I needed to talk about. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps me out. The faster we can build this platform up, the faster we can start doing some more interesting, fun things. And with that, I don't have anything else for you. So remember, every hero is the villain of someone else's story. And with that, have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace. Man, that was a long single frame shot. I really hope that didn't annoy the crap out of you guys.